Let's talk about how I passed all 15 ACA exams first time. I'm by no means a genius, so if I can do it, you can definitely do it too. I'm going to keep this part of the video pretty brief because I already have videos that really outline the ACA exams in a lot more detail. What you probably need to know for this video is that the ACA exams are split into 3 levels. It's the certificate level, professional level and advanced level. So there's 6 exams and then 3 final advanced level exams. The certificate level, you'll start off with predominantly multiple choice exams and it's a 55% mark to pass. The professional level exams, then these actually do really step up and get that bit longer. And again, it is still 55 marks to pass. The advanced level, that's actually when a lot more content comes into play in these exams and it is a 50% pass mark. And that also does include the final case study exam. The absolute biggest reason for why I think I passed all exams first time is because I would always make a plan. Has anyone heard that saying, fail to prepare, prepare to fail? I've actually got here my study planner, and no, I'm not obsessed with unicorns, but honestly, having this weekly planner really made my life so much easier. You can find one similar in the description below. But you'll really see how I planned out my revision and my question practice. In terms of how I went about making a plan, I've actually already got a video about this that really goes into detail a lot more. If you did perhaps want my advice on this, you'll be able to book in a slot with me. Here's some feedback actually that I received from a previous student. And that response alone actually just shows how helpful it is to really make a plan. In terms of passing first time, I know you might be thinking it's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and it definitely is, but if you plan early enough, you can really still make time for the things that are important to you. Probably up until the week before my exam, I was still going to the gym 5 days a week, meeting up with my friends and things where there were kind of important socials that I didn't want to miss. I think that is just also really important for your mental health as well. And that probably is a big part of getting through the exams, especially whilst working and studying too. Something that I've actually spoken a lot about before now, making use of annual leave where you can for those extra study days. Me personally, I think those extra days really did help. It allowed me to get in a lot of question practice, which I'll come on to. And it just gave me that extra time I needed really to just focus on those exams, especially when I was sitting 3 at a time, which was quite intense. For every single ACA exam, you will be given a bank full of questions, and it is made up of a lot of past paper questions, and it's of course really helpful if you get as much question practice in before the exam as you can. On the whole, I did just kind of throw myself into question practice. So you might be thinking, how did you do that? Like, how did you know what to do, how to answer the questions? I think where I really learned was taking the time to debrief. I would spend a lot of time going through the answers and really understanding it, and that's when I would go back to my content and revisit it and try and really get that understanding. I went through the content probably at least once over during college, and then I would go to the question bank. For the most part, I'd probably start off with my notes and just kind of try and do what I could. I think I remember a lot of my answers I'd mark in like red writing, so on the software. I would always practice on the software, by the way, to make sure that I'd be comfortable with that in the real exam. And to begin with, honestly, the majority of my answer during the debrief was pretty much all in red, but you will really be amazed at how quickly you can start to pick things up once you just keep going through it. In terms of the question bank, my rough guides, to be honest, for certificate level and the lighter certificate level exams such as say assurance or BTF, where you can go through quite quickly, I did actually complete the question bank twice over. Something to be really careful of though, if you are going to do that approach, is just maybe actually keep some questions unseen. I actually found that sometimes you can kind of fall into a place where you think that you know the answers, but you're actually remembering it from when you've marked it previously. Do just be careful that you do actually understand the answer. Yeah, certificate level once to twice over if you can. A professional level for the majority, so I didn't do this for AA or BST, but for the others I did actually go through the question bank once over. That can be quite hard to achieve, but if you can really make that plan and get that time in, then it is probably possible. And then the advanced level, so CR and SBM, I think it's probably very difficult to do it once over, so I only managed to do that because my exams are postponed due to COVID, just getting question practice is basically key. Really do just keep working on it. So I think daily practice is definitely key. In my how to pass FAR video, I've even said, a consolidation a day keeps a resit away. So there are specific tips for exams that I think really did work for me to kind of just drill in the really repetitive type of questions and ones that I was pretty sure would come up. I mean, if you're still commuting, this is probably a really great time to get in question practice. To be honest, even if you're not, you have that time then to get question practice in. Me personally, and what worked for me was working in the evenings and studying then. I would really just block out a couple of hours in the evening and then of course more time on the weekends. But it is just honestly all around that study plan. Very common reason I've heard for students failing throughout my studies, something kind of went wrong with their timings in the exam and they didn't have enough time to finish, and I guess it led to their failure. This is something I actually experienced firsthand. I had been so good up to the advanced level, and at that point I did not think it would happen to me. I've got a whole video about why I almost failed corporate reporting, and the short answer is it was really due to time management. And okay, it was a very hard exam, but I think time management played a huge factor. How did I get better at my time management besides that CR slip up? Well, it was just practice. It was just being very strict with my timings. I wasn't initially when I first started practicing the question bank, but then closer to the exams and especially doing, the progress tests, the mocks, that is just really when I did make sure to practice to time. And I think that is vital. So in all of my videos, I will always have a section on timing and how to go about that. With each of the 15 exams, the timing is pretty much going to be set for each exam. So should you practice, you then should be able to do it in the real exam. I've always found, and what my tutors have always said, is that the easiest marks are at the start of the question. If you're going to kind of waste time on that last bit of a difficult question trying to get all of the marks, you're really then missing out on those easier marks at the start of another question. If your time is up, do definitely move on. There is of course a few minute leeway with that, but yeah, be really careful if you can. The key tip is that the ICAEW software does count down. That's just something to really be aware of because that can throw you. Of them 15 exams, a lot of them will incorporate an ethics element. And these really, if you take advantage of it and take the time to learn it, these are considered the easy marks, and that's what I've called them in some of my other videos. If you kind of learn the basics, you should really be able to guarantee the majority of those marks, and it's usually 5 to 10% of an exam. Having that in the bag really will help you pass first time. I have found that perseverance and just pushing through these exams are honestly key to passing. To give an example, I had my tax compliance mock and I was so convinced I had failed this exam. I was very, very close to walking out. So I genuinely thought, I'm just missing all the marks here. I'm not really getting it. My complete and utter surprise, I actually managed to pass. From that exact moment when I realized with these exams that you just never know what the outcome might be. There's no negative marking. You can get method marks in, say, the professional and advanced level exams. So it really is just worth putting things down. Another key tip, I know I keep saying that, I have always actually in these exams tried to aim for 100%. And okay, seeing some of my marks, you might think, wow, very far off. But I think that approach really did kind of help me really guarantee passing first time. If I was going to aim for 55 or that 50% to pass, it would kind of mean then perhaps cutting corners with my revision. So maybe not learning all of the content, kind of just trying to scrape it. And I think if I was aiming for that, I wouldn't have really met it. It would be quite difficult and I'd be selling myself short to begin with. That's why I always aim for 100. So if I would fall for the majority of the time, I was getting about 70. We'll drop marks or half marks here and there. But if you do pretty much learn the content and go through all of the question bank and really kind of know the majority of the syllabus areas, then you should really be okay. On the ICAEW website, you can actually find specific sample assessments for each exam. I think it's offered for the majority, if not all. And to stress again, it's important to leave questions unseen. So what I would always do is very close to the exam, so maybe the weekend before, I would then try and attempt that ICAEW sample assessment just to really get a good feel of where I was for the exam. It's also then the extra software practice that helps too. I've sat 3 professional level exams at a time, or 2 advanced level exams at a time, and even some certificate together. And I really experienced, especially because for the majority of the time I would think I'd failed the exams, it's just very difficult to kind of shake off a bad exam, and I have a whole video about how I coped with this. It very much is a mindset thing, because I could have easily let one exam and thinking that I went really badly and that I failed, I could have let that impact the next one and then perhaps have a knock-on effect on the next one. But I really made sure to just kind of switch off and focus on the next one. Admittedly, I did probably have, a couple hours just straight after the exam to really go on and on about how that exam went and whatever, but then I would move on to the next one. And I think that's super important, because you can't dwell and then let one bad exam impact another one and then actually turn that into a bad one. It did help me speaking to others sometimes, and I do actually have Telegram groups available, link in the description below, if you do want to connect with others. What I found is that if I found it hard, I think the majority of others probably did too. Yeah, it does just come to the mindset thing. And with these exams, I've really found that you do just never know. To be honest, that's probably it for why I think I managed to pass first time. So it was a lot of hard work, a lot of planning, a lot of question bank practice, time management, and I've really just incorporated all of the things that I have said in this video. I was in a couple of instances quite close to failing, and I know many others who have perhaps failed one exam and it has not defined them for the rest of the qualification, or it is actually some others who are very senior and they've also perhaps maybe failed an exam or two. It really is okay, and you will of course get there in your own timing. I guess you really should, trust the timing of your life, as cheesy as that is. Yeah, I really hope this video helped. If you did find it helpful, then do give me a like. Any questions, drop them in the box below. I'd be happy to address those. And as always, I'll be back with more videos every single week, so make sure to subscribe and hopefully you'll see me again soon. Thanks.